Hey, Monica, I got you on right now. So, good. If you hear anything in the background, I got a city flooding boom going on. Keep an eye on it. So, but the skinny of it is I talked with them before doing the finite elements study. I wanted him to get it approved, that scope of work approved, but actually Tony Abbott suggested that we approach the Army Corps of Engineering, have them approve it or make changes to the scope.
Greetings, everyone. I'm going to call the February 9th, 2022 Planning Advisory Committee meeting to order. If I could ask everyone to, if you're not one of the committee members to mute your microphone. We are picking up some noise right now. Under the authority granted in Act 302 of the 2020 regular legislative session, the City Planning Commission certifies it will convene this Planning Advisory Committee meeting today via teleconference to hear matters that are critical to the continuation of business by the commission, and all efforts will be provided for observation and input by members of the public. A link to the meeting is provided on the City Planning Commission website. The order of business is the reading of the hearing rules, the presentation of items, a staff presentation followed by questions from members, then a short recess to accept public comment, followed by the reading of public comment, questions from members, and voting on the matters, and then finally adjournment. First matter here today, and the first three matters, I think we might be able to take as one, which the first one is a request by the New Orleans Public Belt Rail Commission for the Port of New Orleans to sell a portion of North Prior Street right-of-way unconstructed in the 3rd Municipal District adjacent to Square 853 between the easterly line of Kentucky Street unconstructed and the westerly line of Japonica Street unconstructed. The right-of-way is adjacent to the municipal address of 4401 North Roman and 1830 Kentucky Street. The second item is a request by the New Orleans Public Belt Rail Commission for the Port of New Orleans to sell a portion of North Roman Street right-of-way unconstructed in the 3rd Municipal District adjacent to squares 853 and 802 between the easterly line of Kentucky Street unconstructed and the westerly line of Japonica Street unconstructed. The right-of-way is adjacent to municipal address 1717 Poland Avenue. And the third one is a request by the New Orleans Public Rail Commission for the Port of New Orleans to sell a portion of North Derby Street in the Municipal District adjacent to Square 802 between the easterly line of Kentucky Street unconstructed and the westerly line of Japonica Street unconstructed. The right-of-way is adjacent to municipal address of 1641 Poland Avenue. I am going to now pull up the main attachment that shows the three particular rights of way all on one document. And everyone see the screen with the red and the yellow. So let me, let me do a roll call, actually. All right, City Planning Commission is present. Real Estate and Records. I see them.
Present.
We're here.
Sewage and Water Board.
Here.
Thank you, LaJoyce. Department of Public Works.
We're here.
All right. What else we have HDLC
Here.
and Safety and Permits.
Here.
Nice. I think that covers all the city departments.
Entergy is here.
We have Jeremy Rich from Entergy. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there any other city department or PAC member here that I didn't call? All right. Jennifer, would you like to start with a little presentation of the item that's on our screen or going to be on our screen?
Sure. Yes, as you can see, we are looking at 3 unconstructed right-of-ways, North Bourbony, North Roman, and North Prior. They are looking to acquire these portions of former right-of-way for the expansion of the rail yard. They are the owner of the 2 squares in between in their entirety. And I think we have Christy Coates from Public Belts if she wants to give some more information.
I'm going to actually defer to JP Escudé, our executive counsel.
Okay, JP, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Like Jennifer said, we own the parcels in between the streets. We have been working with the real estate department to identify whether this would be possible to be able to acquire these in fee for the expansion of the rail yard. We are here in case you guys have any questions of us, but I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory here. But this would obviously be a project that would solve a lot of problems throughout this corridor with allowing us to make trains within the rail yard as opposed to on the main line, which would alleviate a lot of traffic. On this sheet on the upper end, those are already streets that have been paper streets that have been sold off, to my understanding. It's a continuous yard. I guess that would be to the west of where we're talking about here. Inside that blue box is our current Claiborne Street yard. So it would be an expansion of that there. It's bounded on the other side by the industrial canal. This is undeveloped land, so this would be putting it into commerce and would really solve a lot of issues throughout this neighborhood. And we think it'd be a benefit to the community as a whole, and obviously for our operations as well. So any consideration you all are willing to give is greatly appreciated.
All right. I have a question on the document in front of us where it says former Kentucky Street. Does the port also own that square that is on the screen below it? I can't see the name of the square. Might be 944.
This is Christy Coates. I can answer that question. The belt, so it's not the port, but the belt owns the portion of the square that's highlighted in yellow. The rest of the square is the former, I think, Flint Co. building. So it's the owners of that building that own the remainder of that square. It's not the port or the belt there.
Okay, I'm just trying to see where they access their property.
Up on Poland.
On hold. Okay. So Jennifer, they also that landowner also owns Square 943.
I haven't researched it recently, but I believe that is correct. And I have a survey that I can share with you of the Flint Coat property in general that might fill those blanks in for you.
Okay, yeah, it certainly looks like it in terms of the building crossing the lines there.
Right.
Okay, so for DPW, well, we did, not really concerned with the streets per se, I don't think. But we do have some, there are some assets under North Freer Street, which are kind of shared by, the city and sewage and water board. And that's there is a drain line that shows up on our drainage maps. There's a 36-inch drain line that runs from East Poland to where Japonica would be at the start of the current rail yard. And there's a few manholes and that sort of thing in there. So we have to work out a way to either abandon those or incorporate those into the rail yards drainage, I suppose, however that's going to work.
Yeah, as far as sewage and water board, yeah, I had a comment on that 36-inch also. So as far as the sewage and water board, I guess your engineer or whoever's doing the work will have to determine if that 36-inch, if it's connected to anything like in the back going towards Japonica. And I guess take a look at the drainage situation to see if that 36-inch could be abandoned. That's pretty much the same as DPW.
Yep. Yeah, right. So there's just there's the 36-inch main itself, and then there's a few manholes and catch basins, it looks like, with some smaller pipes around where the intersections would be.
And if I may jump back in, we have Carl Coker on the line with the public belt as well, and he might be able to speak more to the proposed project itself. I mean, obviously those would be things that certainly we'd be able to work through before anything were to happen. You know, this is obviously for the acquisition of the street portions. You know, certainly anything that would go into it later, we'd have to work out with you all.
Yes, and I agree. You know, we plan on working with the utilities and everything as we go forward. And these are only conceptual 30% drawings provided by our engineers. And obviously, you know, I would like to keep the drainage, because if it, you know, we don't want to have water build up on our railroad tracks. And I know we do have a ditch there that just collects water and does not drain. So that's another concern of mine. If we can improve the sewage or the rainwater from being removed off the property, that's better for everyone.
Yeah, and Entergy would also need a servitude for their lines and gas lines, for their electric lines and their gas.
And which rights of way is that on, Jeremy?
That's on all three of them.
Okay. And you said you would need a servitude?
Yes, sir.
And DPW and Sewage and Water Board, were you thinking servitude as well?
In terms of the servitude, I don't know that, I don't think that DPW would need a servitude. The 36-inch drain line and any connections to it are Sewage and Water Board responsibilities. So I think it would just be handled through Sewage and Water Board. You know, technically the city, the DPW through agreement is responsible for less than 36-inch. So I don't know if there's an issue of, you know, if some of those smaller drain lines stay, maybe there, I guess there would need to be a drain line in our favor. But I think the way we've handled it in the past is that the drainage becomes private drainage when the when the streets are sold, at least from our perspective with the smaller with those smaller elements like a catch basin and that sort of thing. We would let whoever's purchasing it, that would just become their site drainage essentially. And there wouldn't be an expectation for us to maintain and clean that, on private property.
And Louis, did you say that the assets were only under Prier, or was there anything under the other two?
They're only under Prier from what we're seeing. I think LaJoyce could probably confirm that, but I think we're looking at the same map.
LaJoyce, can you weigh in?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Were there any drain lines or any assets under Roman or Durbany rights of way, or was it just Prier?
Oh, it's just Prier.
Okay. And
So
would
it's-
you need a servitude for that?
Well, like I said, they would have to take a look and see if there are any drainage connections. Take a look at the drainage coming from Japonica, because at Kentucky, you can see that it's going towards Kentucky, the drain line. So once they determine and see basically if what to do with the drainage, if they want to, I'm not exactly sure what they would decide with the drainage. It could be private, or if it's connected to something, then what the sewage and water board would need a servitude. But if they decide, I don't know if they still would need it connected on Kentucky. So it's up to the engineer to take a look at that further. Or if the drainage is needed, then we would need a servitude. But if it's not, then, like I said, your engineer would have to take a look and see if that 30-inch is tied into anything coming from Japonica.
And does the public belt have an engineer that can determine that?
Yeah, I mean, between our staff, the affiliations between the port and the public belt, the engineering staff here, the engineers, Carl included with the rail, and then our outside consultants. Before any work is done, we'll have all of our engineering take a look at all those aspects, including any drainage aspects to the project.
Okay.
And like I was saying before, we're not asking for a project to be approved right now. We're just talking about the acquisition of the streets.
Yes. This is just an advisory committee. It would have to be formally submitted to City Planning Commission by property management and go through a process, including being approved by City Council. And see, Jennifer has her hand raised, so I'll call upon her.
Thank you, Paul. I just wanted to follow up on your question about Flint Coat. It actually looks like that is currently deeded to the Galvez Street Warehouse LLC. I was wondering if the folks with the belts have had any contact with them, or if they knew that had changed from Flint Coat to an LLC, and just, that's a really weird, irregular lot fronting on Poland there. I guess they do have some other access at the upper part of North Prier, but I see the point that you're raising, Paul, with that stretch of Kentucky. It's actually not showing as it's certainly showing as being owned by the Galvez Street Warehouse LLC.
So this is Christy. I can clarify a little bit. Galvez Street Warehouse is operated actually by one of our tenants, the Kearney Companies. That's the legal entity that owns that facility. And we purchased, I think I don't know what the lot number was, the square, but the square in the middle that's all owned by the Belt, we purchased that from Galvez Street Warehouse. That where it says Lot A, Square 853, we purchased that from them. So they are aware of our project in the area.
Yeah, our only concern about that is if the land at Square 944 is not subdivided in part of Square 943, just that making sure that that land area has access to a public right of way.
I mean, the way it's mapped on GIS, it looks like it was subdivided or re-subdivided, and it looks like it still has frontage on Poland and the portion of North Prior between Poland and the building shown in 854. If you want to look at it in Property Viewer, it's 4325 North Prior.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
And also for the purpose of the call, this is Carl again with the NOPB. That customer uses Galvez Street to swing around and head down the Japonica Street to get into that facility.
That's a good point. Yes.
I see. Yeah, it looks like it is perhaps all one lot, multiple squares, and that they would have frontage on Galvez. Okay, you're saying that's really their main entrance is Galvez?
Yes,
Thank
you. What they bring their trucks in and they turn around on that lot, and that's where they do their loading and unloading.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, the closure of Kentucky goes back a long time.
Okay. That square number is not even coming up on Property Viewer. 943 and 944. All right, does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on to the next item.
I have a question. Is the Belt going to be wanting Kentucky for access?
Hey, no, we won't need Kentucky for access.
Yeah, I guess that was the question. Like, are you anticipating that? I mean, Kentucky's clearly not constructed for access purposes at this point. And if there was an expectation that the city is going to do that, I was curious, but.
Hey, right now, there's really no plans to have access off of Kentucky. Everything will be accessed on our end through his Japonica Street.
Okay, thanks.
All right, our next item. So for our guests today, we just have a couple other quick items to discuss. Then we'll take a very quick recess and we'll come back and vote on items 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, this is LaJoyce from Sewage and Water Board. Oh, we're wrapping it up the item.
We're wrapping up. Yeah, if you have any more questions about the items 1, 2, or 3.
Yes, the North Derbany. So on North Derbany, there's a sewer and water on approximately about half of the block coming from Kentucky. So what needs to be done, whoever's doing the work or the engineer, we have to find out if there are any connections going to that sewer or water.
And I can tell you right now, there is. We've got a connection from our currently our yard office trailer in that area that connects to that sewer.
Okay, I was showing a connection to the sewer.
Yes,
So those 2 blocks, well, on either side. So it's saying that Public Health owns both of those property.
I'd have to look at the map again to explain it to everyone. So yeah, thanks, Paul. So our property square is 719. It's not that simple. There's other properties broken up there. The building area is owned by someone else, and currently the NLPB has everything around that.
So that building has its access on Claiborne.
That's correct.
So there's no building that's connected on Derbany.
No, there isn't. It's only, we have a small yard trailer in that corner. In reference to, that would be to the northeast. And we have water and sewage connected to that building. And then the line or where it's connected to is in Derbany on the west end, closer to Kentucky, approximately about, I would have to say 85 feet from Kentucky.
85 feet from Kentucky on
Yes.
North Derbany from the property line.
Yeah.
Well, are you talking about which side? I'm sorry, is the south side or the north lot? I'm looking at.
It would on Derbany, it would be just east of Kentucky, inside the Derbany Street area.
So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure who owns those properties. So if you have, somebody would have to check and see if there's a connection to the sewer and the water.
That would be the NLPB that owns those properties.
So is it like that on the, I don't know, Jennifer, do you know who owns those lots right there?
I do see what you're talking about, LaJoyce, with that it's shown as Radiophone Inc. and they're showing the cell tower. I don't think that that's right. I'm assuming this is all part of properties that were transferred to the belt in the 2018 transaction, but maybe Christy has checked on that one. It's listed as 4510 North Derbany. It's a big cell tower.
I'm not exactly sure where you're looking, but I can see on the map where that cell tower is. I believe that cell tower is a tenant of the belts. The property underneath it is owned by the belt.
That's what I would expect. So it's probably the assessor is just taxing the cell company that has the tower. And that's why it's like that, LaJoyce. But we will confirm.
I was saying, see if there are any house connections going to those sewer and the water. I don't know if it's owned by someone else, then we sewage and water board would object to a sale. But if it's owned by, I don't know if public belts.
Yep.
But then that sewer, some kind of way we would have to rearrange that sewer and that water, either having been to abandon if there's no connection, or some kind of way in order to make it private, that sewer, we probably have to abandon that. And then the water, we probably would have to do something on abandoning that also. But that's if it's owned by public belt. If it's owned by somebody else, and that's they're connecting to the sewer and the water, but they won't be able to sewage and water would have to reject a sale.
We're 99% certain that it's owned by the belt.
Okay.
They have a tenant there, but the assessor site just isn't updated from 2018.
Okay. So public belt, do y'all know if y'all would still need the sewer and the water on North Durbany?
For that part of the project and phase in the future, we probably would not.
Okay, so in that case, the sewer and the water can be abandoned, but you would have to submit your plans to Sewage and Water Board for review and approval, and all work would have to be done according to Sewage and Water Board standard plans and spec. So then if it's abandoned, then it can become private.
Understood.
All right, and LaJoyce, there's still nothing you found on the North Roman right of way?
No, the sewer and the water maps doesn't show anything on North Roman.
So we do have some facilities on Prior and we have some on Durbany. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any final questions or comments before we move on to the next item? All right, so the next item is just to adopt the meeting schedule for 2022. All these dates, meeting dates, sent out to the committee week or two ago. None of them conflict with the new encroachments working group chaired by property management. So there wouldn't be any conflicts there. Of course, if you have individual dates that you personally can't make, another representative from your agency or department is welcome to attend instead. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the meeting schedule? All right, I'll just leave it up while we go into the next item, which is just real quick. I wanted to get some input on a potential text amendment to the comprehensive zoning ordinance that curb cut width is currently limited to 24 feet maximum for two-way traffic. And there is interest both on the part of safety and permits and an applicant to amend that to allow for a increase in curb cut width, subject to the approval of the Department of Public Works for non-residential properties. Basically, in cases where the Director of Public Works felt that is necessary for efficient turning into a non-residential property. So specifically, this is probably a Lewis question or other representatives of Public Works.
Is the idea they want to change the zoning ordinance?
Yes, because right now, what they would have to do is seek a variance.
Right. So you want to keep it in the zoning ordinance. I mean, it's already kind of a redundant regulation, right, with the zoning ordinance? Between the zoning ordinance and the code, since we have the rule kind of in the code as well.
Okay, I wasn't aware that it was also in the city code.
Yeah, it's in our code for driveways. I think we already have a 24-foot regulation that we always enforced, and then it kind of became an issue with the new CZO. And I don't think it was an issue for a few years, but at some point, I think someone recognized that it wasn't the CZO as well, and so it kind of became a variance issue. What we used to do is we would enforce the 24-foot rule and just kind of grant those variances. I mean, they're not really formal variances, but we would approve that site design and the driveway width if we saw proper justification. So yeah, it is redundant, I think, in the CZO to require the variance for the same thing.
Okay, so the city code already gives you some flexibility, or you feel you have flexibility on the city code part.
Right.
Okay, so then it might make sense to.
Yeah, and just to be clear, there's the 24-foot thing. I think it's found twice in the CZO, so it's kind of there as the driveway width, and it's also there as the drive aisle width in that parking area, or even if it's not a long parking, if you have an aisle without parking, that's a 24-foot width. So those are really two different things. One of that's like parking, basically some kind of internal circulation layout, and the other one's the actual curb cut width of the street measured at the property line. So I think that we could have a system where DPW just goes back to worrying about the driveway width and the kind of the access from the street, and then the CZO could kind of continue to focus on the internal circulation design.
So were you thinking that there might need to be some flexibility for the drive aisle width as well?
Well, I mean, if I guess not every driveway goes directly into a drive aisle, but yeah, I guess you could say if you needed a wider driveway, then you'd obviously have to have some kind of transition back to a 24-foot circulation path inside the site. I don't know how that would work out, but yeah, I think that we'd be okay with worrying about the driveway width. Right now, basically what happens is they come to us and we say, yeah, the driveway's we can justify the wider driveway, but technically you need an ordinance, you need a variance because it's in CZO. So, you know, if it were just in the CZO, then we could worry about that. If it were just in the ordinance.
Okay, well, you know, if this application does get submitted, we'll consult with you further.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on that? All right. Hearing none, we are going to break for a 5-minute recess. Before I do that, is there any member of the public on the Zoom call that wish to comment on any of the items? I don't think there is, but just asking. All right. So if any member of the public is monitoring the meeting and would like to submit a comment, I put my email address on the screen and we'll leave it there for the duration of the recess. It is now 2:42 p.m. We will reconvene at 2:48. All right, now see you all in a few minutes. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. There are no public comments submitted. So we can proceed with voting and consideration. So again, the first item is, and I'll shorten the description this time, is the North Pier Street right-of-way, unconstructed, between Kentucky Street and Japonica Street, adjacent to municipal addresses 4401 North Roman and 1830 Kentucky.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes.
I want to make a motion of no objection, subject to further review by CPC, Real Estate and Records, and Sewage and Water Board, and Entergy.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Tracy St. Julian with HDLC, second.
Thank you, Tracy. Any discussion? All right, I will call roll then. Real Estate and Record, I'm sorry, City Planning Commission votes yes. Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
Yes.
DPW,
Yes.
HDLC,
Yes.
Safety and Permits,
Yep.
and Entergy.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Moving on to item number 2. This is the North Roman Street right-of-way between Kentucky Street and Japonica Street, adjacent to 1770 Poland. And get a motion.
Okay, motion of no objection, subject to further review by CPC, Real Estate and Records, Sewage and Water Board, and Entergy.
All right. Same as number 1. Do I have a second?
Tracy again, I'll second.
All right. Roll call. City Planning Commission votes yes. Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
Yes.
DPW,
Yes.
HDLC,
Yes.
Safety and Permits,
Yes.
Entergy.
Yes.
All right. Third item. This will be the Durbany Street right-of-way between Kentucky Street and Japonica Street, adjacent to municipal address 1641 Poland Avenue.
I'm going to make a motion of no objection, subject to further review by CPC, Real Estate, Sewage and Water Board, and Entergy.
Okay.
I'll second.
Seconded by HDLC. Roll call. City Planning Commission votes yes. Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
Yes.
DPW,
Yes.
HDLC,
yes,
safety and permits,
Yes.
Entergy.
Yes.
All right, next item is the adoption of the 2022 PAC meeting schedule.
Motion to adopt the schedule.
All right, motion by Real Estate and Records. We have a second.
HDLC will second.
All right. Roll call. City Planning Commission votes yes. Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
yes,
DPW,
Yes.
HDLC,
Yes,
Safety and Permits,
Yes.
and Entergy.
Yes.
And I'm gonna make a judgment of the chair that we don't need to vote on the short discussion about curb cut width because that is not a requirement for a text amendment motion, but we will, if that is submitted, we will consult further with DPW and safety and permits. So I will now declare the meeting to be adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you all in March.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
bye-bye.